Good evening. My name is Ted Griffin. I'm the president of Show Business, and it is my pleasure to introduce the men who respectively portrayed Rupert Pupkin and TV director Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, my good man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Where do we go?
Where do we sit?
I'll sit here, Ted. You're over. Let's see when we can move around. When this
I'll
doesn't
sit
have
over
to
here.
stay this way, Ted. You can move if you want.
Direct us.
I'm not supposed to direct right now.
Okay.
So, all right.
But you should sit here.
Here, I'll sit here.
I'll sit over here. Get over there. Jesus.
I'm going to stand.
We had this all planned. Oy. All right, that's enough.
This was the fifth movie you guys made together. Were you relieved that finally one of them worked? I mean, Taxi Driver and Raging Bull were smilers, but they didn't get the...
I know. No, I think it was the fourth, Ted. It doesn't matter. It was the fourth.
I counted. I went to school in California. Was this your idea of one for them? Why did you guys do a comedy? What drew you to this project?
Yeah. No, I had when we were Marty and I were in Cannes, I think, talking about Taxi Driver, I was shooting 1900 there, and Paul Zimmerman, who has since passed away about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
He was a critic for Newsweek, and he gave us the script, and so then I was trying to convince Marty to do it, and finally he did. He relinquished. We have some movies that he wants me to do, and some that I ask him to do, and so that was the situation in which it was done.
Yeah, I think it took about, I was 75 or so to really 1980 until
Yeah.
I read it. I didn't quite get it. I was too, and then as we got further into the work and you doing other work, and it's really more, he understood it immediately, and I sort of discovered it as we went along. After we did Raging Bull, I said, yeah, let's do it. And I kind of, as I said, discovered it as we made it.
Was it easy to make, to get the money to put it together?
Well, we had Arnold Milchan put the money up with Fox. They did it. And we, it was as good a way, as easy as it is to make a movie. It's always difficult, but
I think that was coming at the end of, though, a period of filmmaking in Los Angeles that had sort of ended with, we were at the same studio as we did Raging Bull. It came out 10 days before, I always tell the story, it came out 10 days before Heaven's Gate. And so that was 1980. The studio went down, and that kind of filmmaking went out. This film, I think, was the last vestige, or one of the last vestiges of that type of picture being made, and just sort of snuck in under the radar because everything had changed. The whole world had really changed, and we were able to get it with Arnon and Fox at the time, Sherry Lansing at the time.
Did you guys approach this, having worked together a number of times before, did you approach this differently as a comedy? You're independently and as a collaboration?
I don't know whether it's a comedy or what. It was just whatever.
It wasn't a comedy, was it? I mean,
No,
yeah.
I was just thinking I would drag. I was saying to I said to Marty, now we're going to have a chance to go and meet some of the people who do this. And so I dragged him around to a couple of people's houses and to show them and introduce them to. And some of them are around today working for tabloids or whatever. And
a lot of kids that took pictures or autographs and that sort of thing. We would go there and talk to them and hang out a little bit, But we never thought of it as a funny. It's so hard to direct comedy. I watched Jerry do it a number of times. I had him do like the scene in the street with the woman. on the telephone, and we hid the cameras, and he did that because it actually had happened to him, and in I think in Germany at a concert or something, and I watched how he worked with her, with the actor. That literal, the timing. Well, you know now, but we were doing other things, but he would go 1, 2, 3, turn, move, line, laugh, that sort of thing, which was a great learning experience just watching him work. So we didn't really know, and of course it isn't that necessarily that funny, that scene, but it's the essence of the movie, I think. But in any event, we never quite intended it, intentionally made it funny.
No, well, no, it was no. Wasn't. No, I was thinking about a thing with Jerry. He told us that story. He was in Vegas. The lady stopped him at a payphone, and he was about to go on, and he stopped and said, "Listen, I to talk to her." He said, "I have to go on. I have to go on." And then he had to run out. They were introducing. He'll tell us now, but I guess that's as close as I can remember. And then she said what she said.
Yeah, she said, "Oh God, talk to him. He's in the hospital. Talk to him." Oh God, so that's what it is. That was the story. But I think we never really got to. I mean, the actual monologue is written by Paul Zimmerman.
Yeah.
That whole monologue you did in one take, on video, and that was literally, and the level of the humor is kind of middle ground. It isn't terrible, it's not great, but it's enough to get by. And the fact that he's on television, he's a big star now, and people were asking, well, were you aware that you were commenting on the culture? And we knew we were commenting on the culture at that time, but not thinking that it would blow up into what it is now. But I was very much into the Tonight Show, that world. I learned a lot from watching the Steve Allen Show, Jack Parr, all the way up to Carson, and of course what Jerry Lewis did on television besides his films. Introduced to Lenny Bruce, On the Road, Jack Kerouac, that sort of thing, where I would not have been introduced to them otherwise in the world I was in, where I was living. And so that world was very, very close to me. All the characters that you see, the people, Dr. Joyce Brothers, and they're all part of the Ed Herlihy, the announcer, all part of that actual world at that time.
What or who informed Rupert's look? His hair, his mustache.
Well, that was we went to the store on Broadway, Lou Magram,
Shirt Maker to the Stars.
Near the States Deli, I think it was. And I remember me, you, and Richard Bruno, the costume designer, went and just looked in and saw this mannequin with the whole thing, and we said, let's just do that.
Yeah.
And we literally took
the hair.
everything, and I'm sorry I didn't keep the mannequin or take it.
No, it would have been amazing because even the mustache.
Yeah.
And then you had only one part of your face, the mustache was shorter.
Yeah.
Just a little shorter. But the wig, it wasn't a wig, it was his hair. That was the thing. That was from the mannequin. The red tie, the shoes, everything. So that's him. Yeah. Let's do it.
I read Paul's excellent script. I think it was dated 1976, and Rupert did not live with his mother in that draft. Was that an invention? Were you trying to get your mom in the film?
No, his mother. I think I must have said, what if we use your mother in this? And she's she's haranguing me when I'm trying to. So.
Yeah, she was off camera, and I was saying to the other guys that it's a different thing. In those days, when I made movies where I came from, you didn't do that. So if I brought you around, or Harvey Keitel, or wherever, it was my son's friends. They aren't like big movie stars or big actors, so she treated everybody that way. And so you hear that in the film. By that point, she didn't. It was Bobby. She could talk to him. What are you talking to down there? Who's that Gerald you're talking to? And at some point, she's just started laughing because there was like no wall there or something. I don't know what the hell. we just went with it. I think there was some improv there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to point out that I'm not sure who else involved in the movies here, but I did see Thelma in the back. Back of this section, if Thelma, do you mind standing up and taking a quick bow? What was the post process on this movie like compared to
The
others?
post on this was very long, very long. We had almost 1 million feet of film. We did a lot of takes, sometimes 25 to 35 takes with variations on the reading of one line. You know, like that line, "Are you speaking for Jerry?" to Shelley Hack. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because that could be done different ways. It could be angry, it could be hostile, it could be kindly hostile, it could be... So it took a very, very long time, and the film came out a year later, I think it was. But anyone else from the film here tonight?
I think I saw Diane Abbott.
Diane is here?
But I don't know where she's sitting.
Diane Abbott?
Diane, would you stand up?
Right ahead. Aha, Diane, hey. Diane's great. And who else? Chuck Lowe? Is Chuck here? Hey, Chuck, hey.
Where is he? Yeah,
Chuck was also in Goodfellas, played Maury.
What is Chuck doing with his hands behind Rupert? He's copying him during that whole date?
yeah, he's sort of he's hitting on Rita, and then there's some scenes that are out that the show that were, where he calls her. He goes to the phone booth. He calls her, and she gets up, and he's right. Is that
Yes, and then she goes out. She leaves Rupert and goes down to his loft.
Yeah,
And it doesn't turn out well. And it's an interesting sequence, but the whole thing had to be lifted out. Remember? And so, but I think we still have it. I know we still have it. So maybe it's one of those things that people are interested to see as a extra, in a way.
I also noticed Richard Belzer in the audience. Did you studied with him?
yes, with Richard.
Preparation?
Yes.
Ah, yes, yeah.
What do you guys do together? Did you go to clubs? Did you do open mics?
I spent time with he and Robin Williams. I got friendly with, and Richard. I think we went some places, and he was just helping me in general about things and introducing me to the world of comedy and so on.
Those improv clubs.
Yeah,
And that's where we saw him that night with Sandra Bernhard.
Yeah.
They did a routine together. It's Richard's attitude. It's the tone. It's that look. And they did something together. I thought it was really amazing. And he's great, Richard. So we went from there,
Yeah.
you know.
How did you cast Sandra Bernhard?
Ready to go?
Oh. Yes, I will do that. How did you find Sandra Bernhard?
That night with Richard Belzer, they were doing a routine together.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah. And basically, we used elements of that. I used elements of that in the scene with Jerry when Jerry was tied up or taped up. There's also Bill Minkin here, too. Bill? Where are you? Hey, oh, there he is. Bill's in it. Number of films over the years.
We want to bring out one other guest. I'll let your reception be his introduction. Jerry Lewis.
You should move down.
I love you, man. Thank you.
You two do good together. It was very nice. I loved it. And I have to mention that no matter when the comedy comes, if the comedy comes and is real, it's always going to score better if you don't make up the comedy rather than something that really happened. And I have to bring this trip into the foreground because knowing I was coming, I said to my staff, I said, this is going to be my chance to finally ride on a subway. I haven't been on a subway since I was 7 years old. So I get on the subway train, And I'm sitting there, nice. And we come to a stop. The door's open, and a young guy walks in and sits down. He's wearing a leather jacket with gold chains coming out of his nose. And he's got a leather shirt and leather pants, leather shoes. He's got a leather tongue. I never saw such leather in my life. And he is wearing all of this stuff. And besides that, his hair is spiked. It's yellow, blue, green, and white. So I'm staring at him. He says, "What's the matter, old man? Didn't you ever do anything unusual in your life?" I said, "Yes, as a matter of fact. 20 years ago, I had sex with a parrot. I thought you were my son." I take no chances, you know.
I had so many asthma attacks on the picture from laughing.
He did.
I want to ask how this came to be, how you got involved, but I'm told we've got to take a quick break for a message from somebody up here, a surprise message to you guys, and then we'll come right back.
Marty, Bobby, it feels like just yesterday that we took over New York City in the summer of 1981. And the day you discovered me was the day my life changed and everything fell apart. Look at where I am now, nowhere. Thanks a lot, you sons of bitches. Hey, remember when Jerry Lewis called me fish lips? That was a great moment on the set. And then the next day he brought me a handwritten apology letter. And I coveted that letter, but by the end of the day it was missing, and I figured he probably stole it back so no one could accuse him of ever apologizing to anybody. And look at the world we're living in. It's a shit show. I mean, whatever we predicted in The King of Comedy went so far beyond our wildest expectations that it seems almost, homespun. And we started filming on the night of my 26th birthday, June 6, 1981. And what a birthday present. And it's the gift that keeps giving. I love you all. I wish I could be there, but I am.
Woo. Oh yeah, fish lips. I remember.
I remember the day we were doing the tape scene, and I went to Marty and I said, "Marty, there's such angst going on. Jerry Langford has such angst and anger at this injustice that's been perpetrated upon him. And I think that when he gets out of the tape, he should punch her right in the mouth." And he said, "You want to do that?" I said, "More than you'll ever know."
Oh no.
I hit her a shot.
Oh yeah.
Thank God I missed, because she'd have been dead. But she's the reason for birth control. And
I know you're gonna get in there. I knew it.
she's a wonderful guy, really. When you get
She's something.
you get to know him,
No. No, but you were captive in that scene. She was able to do anything she wanted with you because you were tied. And you didn't know what she was going to do, especially when she talked about counting your eyelashes.
No, but I saw you talking to her behind the camera, and I knew something was coming. God almighty. I can't sit and have a drink now unless I'm taped up.
How did you guys meet? How did you approach Jerry to do this part? Do you remember?
How did it happen? I forgot.
Did we meet in Vegas or something, or backstage with him?
Maybe.
But first we were talking about, because the script had, Jerry Langford was, I think, based on, I guess, Carson, and at that time David Letterman was starting and that sort of thing, and his show was amazing, and his first shows were really excellent. And so we went through different possibilities, and then I realized, there's a if you go to the talk show hosts. Then you go to the actors who take over, they're actors. Then you go to, there's a director who takes over, there's a director. But Jerry was all of them. Performer, director, the actor, the host, inventor, what we use now on the sets of, I think a lot of people may know this, but the video assist was started by Jerry. Prior to that, we didn't know we were getting. I mean, we knew through the operator, but you did the video assist first with the video cameras. So all of this is all in one. We felt that would be the essence of what Rupert wanted. And so we got to meet you, I think, in Vegas, in backstage.
Is that where it was when we first met you? In Vegas or L.A. or I forget.
I forget now. I forget. Yeah.
Now, you don't remember calling me?
I called you?
Don't you remember you called me? You said you and Bobby were talking last night, and we thought it would be great if you did the King of Comedy with us.
So at least I called you first, right?
You called me.
Okay.
I was playing Lake Tahoe.
That's it. It was Tahoe.
Yeah, and you called me, and I said, I'll go anywhere in the world for you, Marty.
Okay.
Can you send me the script? I don't need it because I'd love to work with Bobby and you. And that's how it happened. Maybe 7, 8 months later, we started
That's right.
Principal Photography. That's how I met Marty. I had never met Marty. I met him on the phone. And he was thrilled.
But also, it's the films that Jerry's made over the years too, which are still, I still screen them, and the visionary aspect of the staging, clarity of the frame, composition, timing, all of this. I mean, actual timing, physical timing, the characters in the frame, and they're timeless. And so even. I was thinking, The Ladies' Man I screened about 2 years ago on a big screen, 35 millimeter, and has the house cut away, remember? And the camera tracks back, of course. And I say to myself, of course, when I was doing Gangs in New York, there's the opening scene in the old brewery, and the camera pulls back. Of course, there were different types of people in the gangs, the old brewery, but that's the first thing that came to mind. I said, of course, this is what it is. We have to do what he did. I said, but of course, it's a different situation. So, I mean, his work still inspires, and that's why I was fascinated to watch. And also, I learned it's a different way of working. I mean, I used to make a film, and I felt that, Bob's like family, so we hang out, talk. Sometimes we shoot, sometimes he wouldn't, everything. But Jerry is there. He told me I'm a pro. You want me here all night waiting? You pay for my time.
Did Bobby do a film after this one?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
I think he did. Yes. I think he kept working.
I've seen him on every plane trip. I've seen him. God Almighty.
Did you guys improvise much in your scenes?
The what?
Did you improvise much in your scenes?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, the house.
It must have been wonderful, yeah.
Everywhere, the house. Remember the house when?
Yeah.
Oh, God, yes.
One more thing, Jerry. One more thing. Says yes.
I'm sure that Bobby can speak for himself, but when you get a script and you see an opening where you can do specific things, and that's what happened with King of Comedy. We found wonderful places where Bobby and I could be absolutely from the top of our heads, nothing rehearsed, and the entire scene at my home when he comes in and I come back to the house with the golf club, all of that was ad-lib. The whole 7 or 9 minutes was ad-lib. Bobby and me. I remember I used a line on Bobby during the scene, something about Hitler. He said, "That's not fair." He said, "The man made a mistake."
So did Hitler. Yeah. The door being stuck was improv too. I mean, it just happened that the door was stuck. You couldn't open the door. The poor Kim. Right. Come on, open that goddamn door. Everything was so uncomfortable to make that scene.
And we heard you sitting behind the camera, hysterical. I said, are you going to continue laughing or are you going to cut this goddamn scene?
A couple of times, he would just throw a rubber chicken in the middle. A couple of times. In one scene you weren't in, it was in his house alone. It was real quiet. All of it, he goes around a corner. I'm holding the camera, all of a sudden, a rubber chicken hits the ground. The timing was perfect. Yeah.
I'm looking to see if I got the chicken.
There you go.
Because I go into a restaurant the other day, and I stopped right at the door. I said, what the hell is everybody staring at, for Christ's sakes?
Never without my nose. Oh, yes.
Looking at the film 30 years later, what's your happiest, proudest moment of watching it? What are you proudest of about the movie today?
Well, it's so many things. It brings back memories of that period, that time, what we did, just so many things. And I do look at it in a different way. I think Jerry was terrific, really, and just that was reinforced for me watching it tonight. And the stuff that Marty did, it was great to watch. I mean, I can watch a movie 25, 30 years after I do it. I can get a little objectivity. Not much, some, but no, actually a bit. I'm kidding, but I can get a bit more.
Tonight he's going to see Deer Hunter.
Everybody in the movie, Sandra, everybody, it was terrific, and all the minor parts too. A lot of them were real people that we had in the FBI. They were terrific. Ed Sheeran.
Freddie DeCordova. Freddie
Yeah.
DeCordova, yeah.
Yeah.
All these, Shelley, everybody.
Yeah.
But, yeah, looking at, we were color correcting at Thelma, and what I had decided in the picture was not to do any camera movement and just really create this kind of hermetically sealed frame, like a kind of television, the world that everybody was watching at the time, television in a way, not in but the kind of almost antiseptic quality. And so it was just the opposite of what we had done in other films like Taxi Driver and that sort of thing. I was trying to go back and just let it play with the actors. And usually from below the knee up, in the wide shots. Because the comedy, it looked better, the body language, And
Telling me?
yeah. It looked, I said, wow, keep it wide. I said, Jesus. And these days, now it's different, of course. The cuts are so fast,
Yeah.
Jerry, I'm told that once upon a time you had somebody, Rupert Pupkin, in your life, somebody who was calling you, or I don't want to say stalker, but
I've had 3 or 4 stalkers in the last 40 years. They're all gone.
Okay. How'd you deal with them?
How did I deal with them?
Yeah.
The sons of Al Capone have been hanging out with me for a long time.
Okay.
I gave them a call. I said, you should visit this schmuck. You get out of it very easily.
Okay, so the soft touch.
Yeah.
And any memories of Sandra Bernhard besides Colin? That's the cover for the Total Filmmaker, the reissue. All right, well, I want to thank the 3 of you most of all for making this movie, but also joining in this enlightening Q&A. And thank you all for coming, and
Thank you.
And good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.